fresh gum on the stone. This helps with the next step a little bit. You don't have to measure it. And then so we're using the sponge this time. Move that around. What we're doing is dissolving that first etch gum and replace it with this fresher stuff. Then have something called a cheesecloth. Now, cheesecloths, whenever you're working with these, you don't want to be doing this kind of stuff. You want to do actually what it was there, where you want to tuck in the corners so you have a nice pad. And then very vigorously, without a lot of pressure, just go over the stone and pick the image, attention to the image area. And just follow it up. We'll go ahead and use the fan. Make sure it's good and dry. Then we're going to have to do a couple things here. First of all, when you get to the sink, I'll get you some better sponges. We'll talk about that here. Need a little bit of water in one of the pans. Don't drop it in the sink. That's not part of the demonstration. Just see if your pan is not you always want to start out getting your sponges back over here. Sometimes they go back there and come back here like people are doing, got these supple again. Supple. And people make the mistake all the time. They'll take both pans over and get water. They only get one pan with water. The other pan has a different purpose. Okay. Now, before we do anything else, we need to get our ink out. And not sure if this ink is any good.
About to find out.
Should be good. Compared to your other inks you work with, the litho ink is supposed to be thick, and this is thick. And normally you go in there, you're supposed to go around and not gouge into it like I'm doing right now. It actually seems a little stiffer than what it might be normally. And then we need to work up the ink. Go in the center of our palette here to begin with for this. And sometimes it just remains too thick, so we may have to modify this. If we do, we'll find it out very quickly here. Now I'm just going to put the positive ink up here. Then we have these, which are for our ink roller. Got some cuffs here. And we need to lay out what's referred to as a bead of ink across here. Basically, the length of the roller here, as far as how that goes. And mistake a lot of people make, they'll put the ink, put it here in the center like I've done, they'll put it over to the side, and then they start progressively walking ink around. Plus, put it over there, ink's there, you're using the roller, you're going to get your knuckles into it. So we don't want to do that. This roller is unlike anything else you've worked with before. It's not like a brayer. It actually has a solid wood core here, handles here, very well permanently fixed. There's no rotation there whatsoever. And on top of that is some felt, and then its outer coating here is leather. And it's actually, you're looking at the inside of a cow's leather right now. It's not the outside. But we have these cuffs here to make it easier to roll this, otherwise a lot of friction. Get blisters real quick. Actually, most fruit makers, oh, it's really snowing.
Oh, I thought that was a bunch of bugs for a second. I got so scared.
Let's go home.
I agree.
Please.
So with the roller, unlike again, like people will use brayers, you do not go like this. You go forward, back, then you lift and rotate like that. So you start spreading that ink out. This is really stiff. I mean, you just have to go and put some modifier into it. I'm gonna do that real quick. Michael.
Yep.
Hand me another can of ink. No, ink. Can.
Oh. Is it thick too?
Give me that other ink. This one is free of tank. Still has the protective.
Yeah.
We're gonna get too messed up here. I'm gonna put some gloves on because I'm gonna be making a big mess here momentarily. Always put the gums on the wrong way. Why do they do that with these gloves?
Oh my god.
Did you get me a paper towel?
It's like a locust swarm.
You won't be having to deal with this like I'm doing right now, so.
Does the ink dry on the top? Is that what? Oh, okay.
There's a big chunk's gonna come out of here. It's like lava.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh,
Oh,
forbidden licorice.
Rather than throwing all this away, I'm gonna use just a bit of it.
that's what it's supposed to look like, the consistency. It's supposed to be that consistency usually.
This particular, yes, this is a different ink. This ink is actually intended for high-speed presses, offset presses, versus the hand application we're doing. So it has to be thinner like that. I'm in a mess here, so I'm going to switch the other roller. Clean that up later.
What the fuck? I can see the bell tower again, guys. Yeah, it is. Yeah. You look like
Be careful, there's ink on the other side. There's ink on your knuckle on the side of that glove, yeah.
So I get it on my glasses?
Yeah, no, you didn't, but just be careful.
A lot of people, when they will try to thin down an ink like I'm doing, instead of using an ink like I'm doing, they'll use oils and whatnot. I don't like I did using oils because it's kind kind of like the same concept of watercolor. The more water you put into it, the more transparent it becomes. So this keeps it nice and opaque. In fact, I was talking one time to a guy who manufactured inks, and I was telling him that I'm having an issue with ink that's too thick, and he said, well, just put some modifier to it. I said, I told him what it is. I said, oh, that'll work. It's almost like he didn't know it would work. Maybe this one will work.
I believe in it. Yeah.
Do you believe?
One thing I was kicking myself for just a few minutes ago about not having done first is that I'm intending to put some dams here and there, because invariably people bring the ink all the way down to the side here, so putting a dam there is going to keep that from happening. Theoretically.
It's a really good idea.
Okay, a little better. All right. So, once we've done this with the straight gum, now hand me the other one over there, Michael. Lithotine is like it's in the gum turpentine family, so it's all gummy here. That's why it's not one line. So I have to clean this up too. So we make up the lines and pour out. Yay.
I assume that's
Should
supposed to
be
be
just-
easier. The metal spirits.
Now I prefer not wasting paper towels, so I'll take a towel, half towel like this, and tear it in half. And when we put the lithotine down, that's what we just used there, is we just want to put it here in the image area. Oh no. We
You're
don't,
ruining my work.
we don't want to be covering the entire stone. We want to keep it tight to the image.
For sure, for sure. This is really hard to watch, I'm not gonna lie. Come on now. I spent so much time on
And new pair of glasses.
that. Yeah, actually.
Again, how wonderfully this brand of paper towels absorb. Now I'm flipping over and get a nice clear spot here. To absorb.
I know it's gonna work out, but I don't like this.
You're not being a drama queen.
Listen, you know me, Ken. Not knowing what's gonna happen.
Now, the most important step's coming up right now, seeing what we get with a Rorschach here. If anything.
Art.
It's like a tie-dye shirt
Not
or something.
much. Okay, so
Very much.
now we want to apply some asphalt.
Okay. Trust the asphalt.
Not a bunch at all. That's what we're doing right now.
Oh.
Smells.
But since it did do that, make a habit, once you pour this out, to wipe this off. Otherwise it just keeps drying, and suddenly you can't push this
And it's
shut.
gonna be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't get no.
So with the asphaltum, We are simply again trying to cover just the image area, not trying to do the whole stone, just make a big mess through the whole stone. No purpose of that at all, other than the fact making a mess. Who doesn't want to do that? Someone raise your hand. I want to get this thinned down quite a bit, actually. So what I had poured out was actually too much. It was a brand new mixture, and it just was very runny.
It'll be okay though, right?
It will be okay. But thanks to that action, the sun's going to explode in 500 billion years.
I mean, yeah.
It's all my fault.
It's just because you put too much asphaltane on my
Too much. Too much what?
Asphaltum.
Asphalt.
Asphaltum. Sorry guys. Sorry guys.
Okay, fan again.
This just made me roast it. So it almost looks like a summer day. I told you guys it was a summer.
Look at the mountains.
Oh no, you're right. No, you're right.
Okay, so now, once we've got that good and dry, we're ready to go to the next step. Now, normally in the process, you're working with two sponges, two regular sized sponges. One is considered a dirty sponge, the other is considered a clean sponge. When you get two fresh new sponges out, they both look the same. So basically, you have to make your own determination which the dirty one, what's the clean one. As they get used further and further, yeah, one will tend to go darker, so therefore that's not all that we have a dirty one. Normally, when we're working with the stone, we have both sponges, but because of the asphaltum being so dirty, we're going to start out with paper towel. Come around here in the edges. What we're doing here is we're getting rid of the gums on the edges.
Ooh.
I'm liking it again. Don't worry. Don't worry.
And it may come all the way up. It may not come all the way up. It doesn't matter. Because the roller will take.
I'm doing better.
So then we're going to follow it up with the. I'm going to say this is a dirty sponge because it's just root. I want to get the excess water off there,
Come on now.
and then we're going to do what we call a set of 3. So a set in this case, I rolled forward and backwards, and every time I did that, I rotated when I got back here. Forward, rotate. So I did 4 of those. Now I have to recharge the ink, the roller. Now I don't like having the roller just set down because it may fall, and when it falls, it might break the handle. Okay, so here's the thing with the sponges, where it's kind of sound like one of those mathematical equations. We use the dirty sponge to get clean water. And it's mainly the dirty sponge because if it does this, there's ink scum and other things that get into the onto the sponge, so that's how it really becomes dirty. Then we use a clean sponge to take dirty water. That was 4. That's my second set of 4. We're going to try for 3 sets of 4. Also, when I did this earlier, I just put the gum sponge into the dirty water pan. It can stay there until I'm done, or if someone else comes along wants to use the sponge, they can just grab it from there, rinse it off in the water, let the same and go forward. student says, well, get ready to go print a lithograph. First of all, I gotta go pray to the litho gods. Things can happen with lithography that you don't know what's happening. Matter of fact, not to put a damper on your thoughts, but it's an interesting quote from Senefeld, the guy who got into the process. He says, lithography, I think it's really applied to almost anything. Lithography is the only thing you know of that something can go wrong. You can find a solution to correct that problem. 15 minutes, the same thing might go wrong, but the same solution won't work. So take that with a grain of salt. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give you another here. It's a little thin. But basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to grow the image up so it looks like the drawing. It would hurt to have a little more ink there, but that's where it goes. What's the difference here? This, you guys? The other battleship on the land down here, you guys, the people at Surgery Ware was really found that going up. They left photo motion there, so I couldn't get that off, so I just replaced it. Okay, so back to our dirty sponge. Go with that. So let me see if I have some over here real quick.
Chalk. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure with this class.
You know what? After that, I'm not even. Thank you. Thank you. I'm pretty sure. Like if I had to bet on it, my odds, I bet at least 30%.
Blankets that we're printing with, and sometimes they get really bad shape, so you want to throw them away. But we can actually use them a little bit for our purposes here, where I got myself a little square of the medium felt. I'll scrub this away.
Hey Ken, why do you keep wiping it down with water? Like the whole image?
Well, because we're trying to get things clean. Like I was doing it just now, I'm hoping the scum might come out, but it didn't, so I went through the piece of felt here. But leave the scum on there, it could possibly etch and grow on us. Not grow us in terms of like, oh, I really like it growing, because in terms of
Maybe both. Maybe both.
okay. And usually I'll keep that over here in on the talc side, but also, just so you know, there's a couple other little things you can utilize. A couple of things right there. This is basically powdered pumice made into a stick. It's called snake slip. Don't know why, it's just called snake slip. This is Weldon Roberts retouch stick. It's basically a hard rubber eraser. Either of those can be used. I tend to prefer the snake slip, but what you do with it is that you can clean areas up. Okay, so you can really clean those edges up if you like. All right, one more hit here. One semester I had a person in class who was doing this, and it was kind of funny because his first name. So I came over and saw Dakota Fanning.
Dakota was fanning.
I got it. I got it. I'm so intrigued by this. How did someone figure this out? It's just randomly.
Well, that's kind of what Michael's actually is. Like, how did he figure this out? So again, think of that. He basically discovered the process and perfected it when he was 25 years old.
I'm 23. That's sad.
I'm just getting out of college.
Get on it.
I know.
So now, well, again, ideally you want the image looking the way you do. Looks pretty
Yeah.
close, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty close.
So again, we can reuse rosin on top that's already been used. And once again, we're just trying to cover the imagery, not the entire stone. Pretty stingy with the rubber wipes over the year, and I discovered this summer that I was straightening things up. Like, I got a bunch of this stuff, so I'll try to be more conscientious of getting it fresh stuff all the time. Okay, now we go to the talc. Again, we can reuse what's there, but I'm just speeding things up. Same principles, rosin's helping make the ink more acid resistant. The talc is needed to help pull the edge up to the image area. And note that I try to go to a lot of trouble here, making it so that we don't have messes spreading around. So I have these trays here and try to keep things clean there. Don't get in it. Sometimes people just aren't thinking, let's just start putting things out here. So it's not a disaster, but be better the other way. Okay, so I got this one plunger working okay. I'm still working on the other one. Just so you can see it's working. Oz. I'm just going to go with 10 this time. Theoretically, the ink is more acid resistant, so you can give it a slightly stronger reaction. That's actually not all that strong. Same thing though, we want to try to get out here at the edge if we can. Immediately start spreading this gum around the entire stone surface. I was telling you the story the other day about the Sennefelder's mother and the laundress. It's funny, the first 3 or 4 times people would tell a story to me when I was back in undergrad school. One person said, well, it was a laundress, another person said it was the mother. I finally read this book and it's like, it was both, just like I described it. It's also interesting too where, probably around 1818, he had someone else who was a sergeant in the German army who was claiming he was the first one to ever print using stone. And it turns out that Sennefelder and that sergeant had a common friend, and the friend happened to have one of the stones that the sergeant had worked with. Sure enough, yes, you had an image on the stone. The Senate fellow noticed that the guy carved into the stone. He didn't use the chemical process. So that's why Senate fellow would call this the chemical process printing. I didn't look at the clock, but again, if I'd forgotten to put rosin or talc on there, this is what I'd be doing here, trying to get that. Physically forcing the etch up to the image.
What happens if you do both? What happens if you do both? Like you hit it and you do the rosin?
Nothing. You might splatter gum out or whatever. Bring your girlfriend in next time and say, watch this. You guys heard that term, what was the redneck's next famous last words? You ever heard that one? Redneck's famous last words, hey y'all, watch this. I think there's a part 2 now. I did my own research. Put in our dirty gum, or dirty water, I should say. And again, be sure that you never squeeze dirty water into the clean water. This is actually quite cold. With me. Again, I'm going to repeat it. Very important to get the whole stone covered, the top of it, the surface of it here. Otherwise, if you don't do that, then as you're rolling, you'll start having ink being deposited where you don't want it to be. Also, I'll try to remember to tell you to avoid one shortcut that people think can get away with, and they can't. But it should come up when we do the printing demonstration on Thursday. I haven't said it yet, but we will have a calendar up here, or a sign-up sheet, I should be saying, for each of the 2 presses, and we'll reserve that the press for doing second etches and for printing. Unless you're here by yourself, you can't do a first etch over here too. But during class time, it makes more sense to do it that way. Excess gum comes off. First cheesecloth, as long as we got a good clean spot, we can reuse it. Go quickly, just try to keep the gum from solidifying before you're done. And again, what I try to do when I do the buffing here is concentrate on the image area. Then come out here, just get that knocked down. Okay, so that's it. And then clean up. Again, we have to wait 24 hours so that how things stabilize. Hopefully things will go well when we do the printing. Okay? Questions?
I do. You have a dirty sponge and a clean sponge. What about the third sponge?
This is the gum sponge.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.